can I not interrupt, but jump in and take us to something like in life, in the situation, in the conflict? And I actually want to ask you, Mordechai, now with what you said a few minutes ago and with what Ruti said now, let's say you're talking about this pilot and in a time of war, you mentioned you and you mentioned your son. So it is very personal. It is not something we're talking about that is out there and we're philosophizing about it. No, this is very, very vivid. So what would it look like? Maybe it's a challenging question and you can take the time. What would it look like to act in a situation that is calling for violence, that is maybe at the moment, this is how it is. Yeah, not maybe, yeah. When we are called to live in reality as it is, what would it look like to approach the situation like dropping a bomb, coming from the tree of life? And is this even possible?
But I will say two things. One thing is, it's an answer from the tree of knowledge, which I did many years in Kolot, which is give classes on balancing power. That's a tree of knowledge answer. Balance your power. And I think it's important. I think the army tries to do that to some level. Don't overuse your power. But this whole mindset is a mindset of knowledge, of ethics. Ethics itself is coming out of the tree of knowledge. And I think that's important. There are people that's their language, and you have to talk with them about how to create a Jewish roadblock. How do you sit 3 months in a place, go crazy, and breathe well when you want to overuse your frustration? Let's put it that way. But I think that there's something else, which is a very political understanding. And as we're talking, I think that a two-state solution is coming from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, or a dual option. And I believe that this land of Israel, this soil of Israel, is calling for a two-state, a two-nation solution for a Temple Mount, which is one. It's a whole different dimension of saying, let's separate. It's a call to ask, what is life about? What's the essence of Judaism? What's the essence of all the religions? And I think this is a more realistic approach, by the way. I'm not saying this as something messianic. I just don't think that this land is going to allow this separation. Go back to the tree of knowledge concept that many of my friends on the left want so much. Let's like Abraham and Lot. Let's separate the land into two pieces. I think this land is calling us for an Etz HaChaim, a tree of life solution. It's more complicated, but that is something that we can start with ourselves at home, and then talk about this. When God told Abraham, "V'hiyeh bracha," you should be a blessing. Abraham is the father of all the people in this country. So let's talk about what does it mean to be a blessing together. I think this angle, which may sound very spiritual, I think it's very realistic. And for me right now, it's the only solution that I believe will stand in this land.
As of now, we need to look for these ends, these places we reach that do not give life, that give suffering and hatred, and in either or. As much as we acknowledge that we are living most of our lives from the tree of knowledge, and not stop there, but acknowledge its limitedness, acknowledge the illusion of the promises, the tree of life, the tree of knowledge promises, because we ate from the tree of knowledge because we wanted to understand, because we wanted to control, because we wanted to have our way. okay, because we wanted to be equal partners. Well, we can't. Okay, we are called to be wonderful, responsible participants in the creation of God, but we are not God. And thank God for that. So that is actually what we're called to do. We're called to come back to our precise, accurate place of being, really being a participant in this creation, meaning that I plant my feet in the creation, in the tree of life, knowing that whenever I see no way, it means that I'm looking for my mind. Look straight in the eye to my mind, into the angle of which I was looking, from which I was looking, and then coming back to the tree of life without understanding. What we do when we come out of the tree of life is not a result of an understanding or a conclusion. It emerges from wisdom, which is love, which is beauty, which is everything.
What I am concerned about is, what is the center of the mindset? Is the center of the mindset the army service, those moments in life where we have to sometimes even shed blood? Or is the center of our life our intimacy at home, the places that really create our tree? And I think that sometimes in Israel, the post-trauma syndrome of so many Israelis is because the tree of knowledge conquered the homes, conquered the reality. So I don't know what to tell a pilot, but I do know how to start a fresh home. That's not based on the tree of knowledge, but based on the tree of life. And then when that person, soldier, will have to do his duty service, he knows where he comes from and he knows where Temple Mount is, what it really means.